Joining us here on the first day of March. Well, Bryant started off the year nationally ranked. They beat Providence in thundering fashion just a couple of weeks ago. But since then, they lost the next two, one to Boston University and one to Dartmouth on Saturday. So, Bulldogs coming in 1-2. Bellarmine coming in 1-5. We're underway. Bellarmine in the black uniforms, they move from left to right. Bellarmine on spring. And you can head over to the Inside Lacrosse or the TLN Twitter page if you feel so inclined to see truly how crazy the game was, as the shot here just barely missing was Cole Messick. Eyes on, folks. Delarocco, the sophomore. And Ben Hubbs, who has just been exquisite so far in his freshman year. Had the chance to catch up with Andy Whitley, the head coach of Bellarmine. And obviously this another face-off here. Won by Bellarmine. It's Cole Messick. Jacob Berggren, and this one is picked off by Karate. But in the last 4 games of the season last year, he scored 20 goals in that time frame. Flag is down. There'll be a delayed penalty coming, but some aggressive defense here from the Bryant Bulldogs. To me, he said, quote-unquote, this is easily the most talented group that I've coached, but easily the youngest group that I've coached as well. He said, if you ask me to exchange rosters with our first 6 opponents, the only one that I believe has more talent is Michigan. "3-3 is your score. We're down to the 7-minute mark here in quarter number 1. Well, would you believe how quick that possession started? And that's due to the the defensive intangibles of John Robbins, who was the Atlantic Sun preseason defensive player of the year. Set the school record for caused turnovers in a game on Saturday against Hampton. Long history of success was Andy Copeland, who was the head coach at Fairfield for quite a bit, now the head coach of the Water Dogs in the Premier Lacrosse League. He was his number 2 for a while. As the flag is down here, there'll be a delayed penalty coming against Bellarmine. But Andy Whitley specifically called out. So last year, the Bulldogs finished at 9-4 overall, 5-2 in conference play. Had some really good wins. Trying to force it on net was Jacob Alexander. This one goes all the way out. In the NEC tournament, it was number 2 Hobart that they beat 14-12 after losing to him once already. And then in the conference final down in Philadelphia, they took on St. Joe's, who was ranked number 1. Had an exquisite year last year. So Bryant gets the auto bid from the NEC, and they take on Virginia, who went on to win the national championship. Well, Virginia, at the end of the third quarter, so we'll see a penalty after. Of course, we mentioned the flag went flying as Bryant wins the face-off and gets set up. So it's a 1-minute penalty on Tommy Filikowski, 11 on the year for O'Rourke. Well, again, as I alluded to a couple of goals ago from Mark O'Rourke, it's really impossible to quantify what he's meant to this program. As O'Rourke again! The jump shot for Mark O'Rourke! Levels out. Not by any means insinuating that we'll get there, folks, but the offensive pace has been very exciting here in these first couple of minutes. O'Rourke trying to grasp for it, now under a minute to go. "20 seconds ago. Put it into perspective, Bryant scored 9 goals in the entire game on Saturday. Here's O'Rourke. And a good look at JC goal effort here in the first quarter. It's 9-6. As the Bellarmine Knights are the challenger. For the first time in program history, Bryant will square off with Bellarmine. As the teams will switch sides, Bellarmine going from right to left, and Bryant going from left to right. Bellarmine isn't quite get a shot of it on NEC front row, but Andy Whitley came out and screamed at his goalkeeper, J.C. Higginbotham. Correction, they've made a change in goal, believe it or not. It is Dante Batista in goal for Bellarmine, sporting number 33. So Bellarmine's goal this year is to, according to Andy Whitley, is to put them in a position where they can win a conference championship. They were picked 4th in the preseason poll. Air Force and Robert Morris were tied atop the poll. Robert Morris went to the A-Sun just a couple of years ago when they goal scorers officially. So now it's 11-7. There are 2 Bellarmine Knights on the sideline. It is John Robbins who sports number 41, and then number 99, Braden Long, you can see just barely on your screen as well. They'll each get a minute. So now Bellarmine has 7 on the field. Only 3 defenders out for the Knights. Bryant wins the faceoff, and now 10 seconds. Jacob Alexander tries to swim a couple of defenders, puts it on net, but it just goes wide. Clock stops at 1.94 on the day. Mark O'Rourke now at 124 career goals. That places him 3rd all-time in the Division I program record book for Bryant. The target for him, pushing now. 9:40 left to go. And it was ultimately too much for the Bellarmine defense to swallow. Bryant's up to 13-8. Scooped up here by Tommy Filikowski. Gets the assist. Favor of the Bryant Bulldogs. Bellarmine Knights looking to put a dent in this 5-goal lead. Bellarmine had a lead of 2 goals at one point. It was 6-4. It was the last lead, or the largest, I should say, that Bellarmine had. And since then, Bryant, every now and then you get one of those tough bounces that might have caught a bit of the crossbar as well on the way down. Illegal formation there. Jake Zimmer, happy to be with you folks here on a Tuesday afternoon. Some news in the Bryant community as well. As far as men's basketball goes, head coach Jared Grosso has won the Jim Phelan Coach of the Year award. NEC just announced that a couple of minutes ago. What a historic season the Bryant Bulldogs are having. Regular season champions for the first time. 2 players from Bellarmine in the 3-goal territory. Christian Delarocco scored all 3 of his goals in the first quarter. O'Rourke off the rebound. This one goes way out. Kyle Plaisted, the sophomore attacker from Calgary, Alberta. Went to the Trinity Pauling School in New York. Lacrosse powerhouse. And if you want to know Plastead's upbringing, there have been a time off the clock, and they put one in the net. That's exactly what you want if you're Mike Pressler. And the Bulldogs up by 3 with less than 2 minutes to go. Well, the Bellarmine defense has been staunch at times. They force a good amount of turnovers. And Bryant in a broad stroke, less than 2 minutes to go. Well, the Bellarmine defense has been staunch at times. They force a good amount of turnovers. And Bryant in a broad stroke